Today, we're going to talk about taxes and where your money is actually going, because a lot of people, we pay taxes, right? We have to for a start, but we do it for the good of the community, right? We need hospitals, schools, fire brigades, policemen, all of that sort of stuff. Police women too, before you get your fucking knickers in a twist. But we do it for the good of the community is the point. But I think if everyone actually fully knew where their tax money is really going, there'd be an uprising, because I've looked into it and it's mental. But before we get into that, let's just first wrap our heads around how much tax we're actually paying.
We're taxed on money when we receive it, when we spend it, when we keep it, when we invest it, and even when we die with it. It gets worse. We commute to work to make that money in a car that is taxed again to register on roads we're already taxed to build, fueled by gas that is taxed even further, and many times through tolls that tax you again. And that's to maintain bridges and highways and tunnels that already have billions of dollars, taxpayer dollars, allocated to them, and they're still falling apart. And then when you get to your office that is taxed to exist, in a corporation that is also taxed to do business, that almost certainly requires permits and other things, which are another tax, you are paid a paycheck that the corporation must match another payroll tax on top of what they have to pay you. Then you go to a home of which you are taxed to own every single year that we bought with money that the government already taxed us on. Oh, by the way, the more money you make and the more you pay in taxes warrants the government taking more and even higher percentages of your money.
And it's a disgrace how much we're taxed, right? But like, if it was being spent well and we could see the evidence of everything we were putting back into the system paying off for the community, I think people would feel a bit differently about it. But it's not all getting put back into the community. Some of it is, but a lot of it isn't. And I'm going to specifically focus on America and the UK in this video. Now, as for America, you've got Elon Musk's Doge system, which seems to be going through all of the payments that have been going on in government for quite a while now. And one thing that they've just found is that 4.7 trillion in payments by the government was often left blank, making traceability almost impossible. So if you want to find out where this money is going, what the money is being spent on, you can't find that out at a later date. And if you think that's an accident, you're on crack. And that's what they're going to struggle to ever figure out, let alone what they have found out.
$520 million for a consultant on the environment. Somebody got $520 million for an environmental. Paid a lot of money for my environmental studies, but I paid like $50,000, not $520 million. $520 million.
It doesn't make sense, which is exactly why you know there's corruption.
$42 million for Johns Hopkins, great place to research and drive social and behavior change in Uganda. 42 million. What about us?
What the fuck are they spending 42 million on social and behavior change in Uganda? It's just mind blowing.
I mean, these are massive numbers on things that nobody ever heard about. $10 million for Mozambique voluntary medical male circumcisions.
We can't have turtlenecks in Mozambique, right? This is a priority and I want you to fix it, Mr. President. How many foreskins needed cut? And how much is it per foreskin? What are you charging me here, Doc?
$32 million to the Prague Civil Society Center, which is a very liberal group of people. Wonder how much of that money came back to the people that approved it.
Exactly. And Trump is just calling out for what it is here. Clearly, people are signing off contracts here and getting major kickbacks because it doesn't make any sense, man. No one would spend that kind of money abroad when you have so much homelessness, for example, in America. Like, what the fuck are they playing at?
$486 million to the Consortium for Elections and Political Process Strengthening, including $22 million for inclusive and participatory political process in Moldova.
They're talking about 500 plus million for, election processes around the world. Meanwhile, their own elections seem like a fucking shit show to me. Unbelievable.
And $21 million for voter turnout in India.
If there's one thing American taxpayers really need to know is, are Indians voting?
It's voter turnout in India. What about voter turnout here? Oh, we've done that, I guess. We did 500 million, didn't we?
Because obviously with Joe Biden being a senile old fucker, they must have ran up an absolute bill on his name, just being like, he'll never notice it.
$1.5 million for voter confidence. We want to give them confidence in Liberia.
We want to give them confidence. They're just not confident enough. We need more money to make them more confident.
$14 million for social cohesion in Mali.
We're just not cohesive enough in Mali. How much will that cost? 14 million. Sounds about right. Good deal.
$2.5 million for inclusive democracies in South Africa.
None of these sound like they mean anything at all, though. It's like there's just millions upon millions of pounds being spent on nothing.
$47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia.
Motherfucker, they're the smartest of the fucking whole world by the sound of it. They're always doing well.
Asia's doing very well. They're doing a lot better than we do in the schools, aren't they?
Maybe Trump didn't think about why they're doing so well, yeah? With a little bit of help from America. You're welcome. But it does get worse.
These are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on.
$1.5 million to promote gays, lesbians, and trans in Jamaica.
What are we doing? Promoting them? What, do we need Eddie Hearn to go over there and champion them? It's honestly, you should see them lot. They're fucking brilliant.
$2 million to strengthen trans-led organizations to deliver gender-affirming health care in Guatemala.
If there's one thing that I've always thought about Guatemala, I thought too many penises. We do need to chop some dicks off. I think it's important.
$43 million on a gas station in Afghanistan that had no customers.
You should have seen the petrol station, though. That's the thing he's not telling you there. That was one bloody good-looking petrol station. I think it was made of solid gold from memory.
$20 million for Iraqi Sesame Street.
$20 million for them to watch Big Bird on Saturday morning. I need to see this episode. I think this is a parody. I think I found the wrong episode of Sesame Street. On the plus side, why did they not just dub over the normal episodes of Sesame Street with that language? Like, why do you need to go and spend 20 million? I don't get it. Maybe this one? Welcome to Arabic Sesame Street? This seems a bit more real.
$4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan.
What we do not want as taxpayers is people in Kazakhstan ill-informed. We don't want them thinking anything wrong. We need to make sure that what they're thinking is what we want them to think. And if anything, I wish they'd take more money from me just for that, because I could sleep better at night if I just knew everyone in Kazakhstan was thinking the right way.
Over $6 million for men who have sex with men in South Africa.
Are they struggling with that? Because I don't know many gay men, but I just assume they just did what other men do, which is go on Tinder. What are they needing the $6 million for? Lubricant? Can we not take some of that oil that P. Diddy had lying around and just fly that over or something?
$2 million for Moroccan pottery classes.
Have you ever seen Ghost where, oh my love, my darling, I've hung, and then the hands for your touch, and then they're getting all on. Maybe that's what they're doing over there. They're getting a bit of romance on their pottery. I don't know. I like to think so, because otherwise they're just making fucking cups.
$2 million for sex changes in Guatemala.
Guatemala be taking the piss a bit now, like. It's getting fucking all sorts. I just want to know which person in government was signing this up. You got 2 million quid? What for? We need a few more sex changes in Guatemala. Would that benefit the American taxpayer? Don't worry about it, because if I know the American taxpayer, like I think I do, they'd love it.
$8 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language.
$8 million for Sri Lankan journalists to not say he, him, and she, her. What? It's beginning to hurt my brain now. It's really starting to hurt.
$330 million to help Afghanis grow crops. Like crops.
That we're literally like, yeah, we just want some drugs. Can you sort that out? What the fuck are we talking about here? And another thing they've been spending the American taxpayers' money on is experiments on animals, but not ones that actually seem to be able to help anyone.
It is estimated that over $20 billion a year of taxpayers' money is still wasted annually on ineffective and inhumane tests on tens of millions of puppies, kittens, and other animals.
That really fucks me off, because I'm an animal lover and I don't want them to be fucked around with. But I especially don't want them to be fucked around with for 20 billion quid of the taxpayers' money.
The NIH itself has said, quote, animal models fail to mimic disease or predict how drugs will work in humans, resulting in much wasted time and money.
So they're even a waste of fucking time. Fits right in with everything else.
Experiments we've uncovered range from the savage to the stupid, injecting puppies with cocaine.
Who thought, do you know what? He would love a line. These are supposed to be like professors, like medical professionals, yeah. And it seems like they're more like a bunch of frat boys just sat around at a party going, should we give the puppy some coke? I wonder what the puppy did after it had some coke. Like, would it have been really talking, just yapping on, just gurning?
staging hamster fight clubs,
First rule about Hamster Fight Club: don't talk about Hamster Fight Club.
putting dead turtles on treadmills.
Turtle's dead, and they're like, put it on a treadmill, might wake it up. Do you know what I mean? Like, fight or flight might kick in. I don't get what they're doing. Yeah.
In one $10 million DARPA grant, cats have marbles shoved up their rectums and are electroshocked to make them defecate in constipation experiments.
What the fuck are we doing here? And the funniest bit about this is like the politicians, they come in cap in hand to us. So, sorry, gotta raise taxes. No, you fucking don't. You actually just need to spend the money properly, you fucking pricks.
Also recently identified over $240 million in NIH grants for transgender animal experiments.
The reason why people decide I want to be a trans person, apparently, obviously I wouldn't know, is that they feel like they're in the wrong body. Chop the bits off, give me the hormones, give me a long hair, I don't, whatever the fuck you want to do. They tell the doctor that that's what they want. Are you telling me that these motherfuckers are performing operations on boy dogs, chopping bits off and pumping them full of hormones, when obviously they're not walking around going, fuck me, I should have been born a bitch. I just don't feel like a dog, me. Like, they can't communicate that. This is literally torturing animals for the fuck of it.
And how hormones used for human gender transitions impact the size and shape of animals' genitals.
Well, the pensioners can't afford to fucking heat their homes, but at least we've got trans cats. Now, some of you might be saying that's not really corruption, right? That's just ignorance. That's incompetence. Well, how do you explain them giving millions to the Taliban?
40 million a week that comes on the airplane and comes into Afghanistan. So the plane comes in weekly. The amount of money on the plane weekly is 43 million to 87 million. But one thing I want Americans to understand is in that bucket of the 40 million we send each week, we are paying basically welfare to the Taliban martyrs' families. So every Taliban member who died during the war with us, the U.S. government is paying them a stipend, the family. So our families of Americans who died there aren't getting squat, but we are paying Taliban families for basically dying while attacking us.
And this woman isn't just some random ass bullshitter. She was a CIA targeting officer and a counter-terrorism expert. If that's true, which you would think it would be close to the truth, at least with her position, why would anyone fight for their country if you're literally rewarding the guys who you sent them to war with? Mental.
And that's how you see all this U.S. aid money flowing to ISIS and Al-Qaeda and Taliban groups. I think they just found 122 million from U.S. aid to them just this week. I guarantee that number is a lot higher than that.
This guy's a whistleblower on U.S. aid, which we've covered in previous videos, and they're literally giving Al-Qaeda, ISIS, millions upon millions of taxpayers' money. Why? People should be made to fucking stand up and explain this in court. And that's where you get defeated, right? Because unless this goes anywhere, well then what's the fucking point in us finding all of this shit out? It just kind of shows how much regular people on the street will just take and put up with. Because they're laughing in our faces right now with all of this shit. And another way they're spending billions in America is through housing the migrants who are coming in.
We are not here to solve the migrant crisis. We are here to help manage and alleviate the crisis.
They're here to profit from it. People ever wondered why, all these countries keep voting for controlled immigration and yet it never happens? It's not an accident. There's money in this.
I spoke to a gentleman that works in DHS. He actually sends the electronic fund transfers, and I asked him, sir, tell me who do you send, who are you responsible for, and how much is the largest check you cut? He said, I'm over Jewish Family Services, and I cut a check for $600 million. And I said, is that for like 3 years? And he told me, JJ, get in the game. That's 2 or 3 months.
Fuck me. You're just literally flushing money down the toilet. That's not going back into helping Americans who are paying their taxes. They're just giving it away here. And this next guy, his wife runs a foundation where she educates Afghans about modern art. And she'd been profiting to the tune of millions from the American taxpayer from all of these ridiculous contracts. And her husband is here complaining about the fact that Trump got in and stopped the contract.
Doesn't matter, you have a contract. So, Turquoise Mountain, which my wife Shoshana runs, has a contract, had another $1 million to go. Money just stops.
Now, let's take a look at the kind of things that she teaches these Afghani fellas.
This is in some ways often called the first piece of conceptual art. Does anyone know what it is? I don't expect the ladies to know. Exactly. An artist called Marcel.
That poor woman's just sat there going, what they fucking showing me pictures of toilets for? Like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah, the report reveals that the Department of Health and Human Services gave out $22 billion to nonprofit organizations to help out migrants over the last few years. This includes things like cash handouts for cars and homes. And guess who's paying for this? You, the taxpayer.
Seeing the way this tax money is being spent, that's not the agreement that we have with government. The agreement is you take taxes, yeah, you have to take taxes, run the economy, but you spend it on things that are going to benefit the country. These governments, they're a bunch of robbing, thieving bastards, if we're being honest here.
We fund $500 million a year to this network of, again, over 4,000 media outlets. It reaches 778 million people, 9,000 journalists trained.
They're basically spending $500 million a year on training journalists. The American government should not be in any way interfering with journalism unless it's trying to control a narrative, which clearly that's why. Because if journals are all being bought and paid for, they're not going to report against you and tell the fucking truth. The US taxpayer has also given $3.1 million to the Tony Blair Institute. Remember that prime minister who clicked up with George Bush and claimed there was weapons of mass destruction and that's why we had to go to war? That guy, another one of those politicians who was earning a couple of $100,000 a year, around about that I would assume, maximum, and now is worth 60 million quid, and yet he needs help from the American taxpayer. And now, a word from our sponsors. Lads, getting a well-fitted wardrobe these days is such a pain, but thanks to today's sponsor, True Classic, that pain is a thing of the past. And with over 4 million happy customers, including 200,000 positive reviews, you know you're in good company. You can build the perfect outfit for an evening out with the missus in about 5 minutes at True Classic. You've got curved hem crews, Oxford knit shirts, chinos, even a blazer if you really want to push the boat out. And the best bit about it is, if you pick up multiple items, you can save big at True Classic. With 3+ items, you can save 33% off, and with 6 or more, you can save 44% off. And what I really like about True Classic shirts and tees is that they fit really snug around the chest and arms, but give you a little bit of space around the old love handles. And I've got to admit, I am grateful for that. They're a good idea if you want to look like you lift a little bit more than you actually do in the gym. And all of True Classic's ultra comfortable, perfect fitting essentials come with a 100% perfect fit guarantee and super easy returns. So level up your wardrobe with clothes that fit just right. Click the link in the description below and go to my exclusive link, which is trueclassic.com/true. But for now, enjoy the video. And speaking of war, obviously there's the situation going on in Ukraine right now. Donald Trump has further elaborated on the expenses of funding Ukraine.
Where is all the money that's been given? Where is it going? And nobody, I've never seen an accounting of it. We give hundreds of billions of dollars. I don't see any accounting. So I want to see peace. Look,
that's $300+ billion to Ukraine, from just gifted from the American taxpayer. Tell me what American taxpayer, when the situation America is in as a country as a whole now, would have said, yeah, let's do that. That's what I'm voting for. When your government is doing things that you would never agree to, you would never vote for, that's not a democracy. Do you understand that? It's the illusion of choice. They're not doing the will of the people. And some of these politicians, now that this is all being brought to light by Doge, obviously, which is created by Elon Musk, they're really angry at Elon Musk, so they're demonizing him now.
Elon Musk is seizing power from the American people. Elon Musk spent $280 million to buy an election for Donald Trump.
Kamala had like $2 billion or something like raised. Like, to say Donald Trump had the election bought is nonsense. He just beat her because she was terrible.
Now, Elon Musk is here to collect on his investment.
Yes.
And he is here to seize power for himself.
You get the idea. She's making him out to be the big bad wolf. And look, I'm not saying Elon is, completely an angel or anything like that. But the point is the American people voted for Elon to do exactly what he's doing right now, which is going through budgets with a fine-tooth comb and weeding out all the nonsense. Now, that woman, I think she earns a couple of $100,000 a year, but yet she's got millions in the bank. Now, whenever that happens, you think to yourself, what have you been doing? here. Shit's going on behind the scenes. And someone has put it on her to her face.
So Senator Warren, why are you so afraid of transparency? Why are you bothered by the fact that Elon Musk is attempting to expose all of this fraudulent spending? What is that about? How did you get a $12 million net worth on a $200,000 salary in Congress?
Thank you.
How did you do that?
Excuse me.
How did you do that?
She won't even look at him, let alone answer the fucking question.
What is it about Doge that's such a problem to you? You just elbowed me, Senator. I got that on camera.
She's a real batlax, that one, isn't she? Now, you might think to yourself, it's probably better in Britain, you know, maybe in the UK, they're actually spending their money a bit more responsibly than America. Well, you'd be wrong in thinking that. Let's have a little listen to what us Brits are having our tax money spent on.
£15.5 million to set up climate-smart jobs in Uganda.
Yeah, it's very nice this time of year.
£50,000 to study the health of shrimps in Bangladesh.
I love shrimps. I'm like Bubba from Forrest Gump, right? I'll have shrimps with anything, right? So if we're doing good for the shrimps, I'm all for that.
You sent 25 million quid to support green urban growth in Somalia.
If there's one thing that's really on the minds of the people of the UK, it's, is there enough green urban growth in Somalia?
15 brand new electric Porsche sports cars to Albania so they could use them for their prison service.
Did someone from Albania just get on the phone to the UK government and be like, look, we're really needing a bit of help here. We need to transport prisoners from prison to prison in Albania. Could you send us a few cars, mate? Yeah, sure, player. What do you want? What do you want? I mean, any call will do, really. You know, we just need something big enough to fit the lads in, get from A to B. You're talking to the UK government, man. We will send you some Porsches over and let everyone know who sent it, yeah? We want the credit for this. Okay. Yeah, we'd love some Porsches. Brilliant. I'll tell the lads. They're going to be so happy. Because some of this lot are in jail for murder and horrible things. They're not going to get out, but now at least they'll be able to drive a Porsche for once in their life. Obviously, they're not driving a Porsche, but you get the point. It's mental.
And then there's 8.6 million quid supporting renewable energy in Indonesia.
Thank God. I've been worried about them.
The government spent 200 grand researching the impacts of Star Wars on the environment.
They're playing around with us now. They're like, how far can we push this before they say anything?
194k researching gay pig masculinities, which resulted in a film called Oink.
Are the pigs gay or are they just bisexual? Because you see some of them and you think to yourself, you look a bit gay, you. It's so silly, isn't it? I don't know if I want a sausage from a gay pig.
842 grand researching the Europe that gay porn built.
We're living in a circus, aren't we?
We spent £1 billion for asylum accommodation and support in the northwest of England.
These politicians are taking the absolute fucking piss out of us with their backhanders and kickbacks, and we're the mugs who work my bollocks off in order for this to be robbed by these pricks.
You found the money to donate 73 million quid for translation services for the NHS. So people who can't be bothered to learn our language can get the taxpayer-funded healthcare that they deserve.
That actually just triggers me. What the fuck? How is that many people unable to speak English? Like £73 million to translate for people. I understand sometimes foreign people will come into the UK, they haven't got a great understanding of the English language, but we should never be in a position where we need that much support for foreigners using our National Health Service. So this is the kind of Porsches that we were donating. God, they're really nice as well, aren't they? I bet you those prisoners are loving it. Lap of luxury, man. Look at it. It's gorgeous. And I'm happy for them, even if they are guilty of horrific crimes. I think it was like 1.4 billion we needed to find to help pensioners heat their homes across winter. Struggle with that. Yeah, just couldn't seem to put my finger on it. And yet, we found 14 billion for foreign aid. And this is the same Prime Minister who told us before getting into power that he was going to freeze council tax. And before the Labour lovers get onto me and think I'm a fucking Tory because I don't like this prick, I hate the Tories as well. The guy lied. End of fucking story.
And that's why a Labour government would freeze council tax this year. No ifs, no buts.
Labour would freeze council tax next year.
We're going to freeze council tax next year. You could rip up that council tax bill because you would not pay a penny more than you paid last year.
Yes, you heard it right. Not a penny more on your council tax.
And much like America, the UK also has hundreds of hotels filled with immigrants, and we're footing the bill, and it's a fucking massive bill. And this is something that no fucker ever never voted for, by the way. And there's a hotel owner who's kind of come forward and went, you guys don't realize how much they're offering these hotels and how much they're spending on each hotel. Bearing in mind, there's hundreds of them.
What did they offer you and why did you turn it down?
Well, it was a considerable amount of money, Beverly. It was probably double what we would normally make on a good year, because they offered full occupancy on a rolling contract for a year.
How very generous.
To be honest with you, I thought it was a joke. And
because of the amount of money they were offering?
Well, I just couldn't believe that the government wanted to put, illegal migrants up in four-poster beds at Camelot Castle. I mean,
this is England, right? We look after people over here. We don't look after our own people.
One of the things they said is to lay off all the staff, and all but two, because they do meals on wheels.
So they're literally saying, fire the English people who work for you, the locals there. We've got it covered. We're going to bring our own people in to look after them. This operation is insane. And another hotel owner has said that he's been making £3.5 million a day housing asylum seekers. He has now seen his profits soar to more than £60 million a year. Again, this is a big scam. Spending the British taxpayers' money in ways that we would never, ever recommend. And I'm not saying don't help people in need, right? But this is taking the fucking absolute piss. We're opening the floodgates and we're putting on a spread. That doesn't make business sense on any level. We're allowing people to, for example, in London, I think it's like 76% of social housing or something like that was being taken up by people who weren't even British. That's a discounted housing in order to help the people of the UK, funded by the people of the UK. We're all putting in. And yet people who've come over here, 20, 30 years old, whatever, who've never put into the system are able to benefit from it. If you ran a company where people were able to take from the hard work that you're putting in and not put anything back into it at that time, you'd go out of business immediately. You'd go bankrupt. And that's exactly the way, the charitable way our country is being run. All because there's personal benefits in it for the people who are organising it, in my opinion. Because there's certainly no benefit to the fucking taxpayer, which is ironically what we're supposed to be paying the fucking taxes for. And I'm going to end this video on a point made by Joe Rogan, who really explain what a slap in the face this is to taxpayers.
I think one of the most offensive things to Americans is that all this was being done and all this money was being spent while they were denying money to people that clearly needed it. Mm-hmm. Like particularly victims of natural disasters like Maui.
Right.
The fact that they're spending all this money on those things and yet they gave those people a one-time check of $770 or something along those lines.
And you see celebrities trying to raise money to try and help victims of these disasters in America. Meanwhile, the government's just handing out money all over the fucking planet. They're making mugs of every single one of us and they're laughing all the way to the bank. Now, I'm not saying everything Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing right now is the right thing to do, right? Obviously, there's certain things I've got my questions on and there's certain things I just don't fucking know. But on this seems an obvious win for them to me. When Elon Musk is now on the news talking about giving every single American taxpayer a refund of like $5,000 or something like that through all of the overspending and corruption that they have uncovered, they've managed to cut so much down that they can even give you lot a payout on it. That is a win for the American taxpayer. There's no two ways about that. And the deeper we look, the more obvious the corruption is, not just in these silly amounts of money being spent on ridiculous things, but even terrorism, even the funding of COVID, for fuck's sake. And as much as I give Donald Trump credit for doing all of this will be a waste of time if Donald Trump does not prosecute the people that they find guilty of committing this fraud. Because if there's no punishment, well, then we're just going to keep on fucking doing it, aren't we? So as much as I'm giving Donald Trump credit, we got to see how big his balls really are if he's willing to publicly take down some of these people. Because it is one big boys club that Donald Trump is a part of, and I want to see if he's willing to really stick his neck out and put some of these people in jail, because that's exactly where this should fucking be, by the way. And if he doesn't do that, well, then we're just going to have it happen again and again and again and again, and all of this will just be a nice gesture that really doesn't amount to anything. And honestly, I'd love to see this happen in the UK, but I don't know if it can. Apparently, in 2010, Labour passed a law that shields civil service from accountability. It's called the Constitutional Reform and Governance Act, and it was sold as a way of ensuring impartiality by Gordon Brown, who was previously Deputy Prime Minister to Tony Blair, then became Prime Minister. But from what I've been reading, it actually prevents any real change within government to this level. And look, I don't know for sure if this can be changed, or if, you know, new politicians get in, they can actually invoke real change. I doubt it. That is the honest truth. I don't have any faith in the UK doing that. But we'll see. But let me know what you think, right? Some of you obviously will hate Donald Trump, hate Elon Musk. I know some people do, and you might think what they're doing is actually no good. If I'm wrong in the way I'm interpreting this, educate me. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what all of you have got to say. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Don't forget to subscribe to the True Geordie YouTube channel, and I'll see you on the next one.